They call it Smog City, a massive cage of iron and steam where the sky is always pitch black. Here, children don't play. We built the machines for the rich people living high above the toxic clouds. I am Leo. I am 10 years old, and I have never, ever seen the real sun. But my little sister, Maya, still believes in the old fairy tales. She believes in the blue sky. Tonight, while digging in the deep scrapyard, Maya found something completely impossible. A mechanical owl. The tiny machine suddenly opened its wings, projecting a beautiful, glowing map of the forgotten stars. I stared in absolute amazement. It wasn't just a toy. It was a golden ticket to the clouds. Suddenly, the heavy iron doors crashed open. The terrifying red warning lights flooded our tiny hiding spot. The Iron Wardens, tall, soulless clockwork monsters designed perfectly to keep us trapped in the dark forever. Their glowing yellow eyes locked immediately onto the magical owl. They knew exactly what it was. I quickly pulled down my goggles and stepped bravely in front of Maya. I promised to protect her. I loaded my custom slingshot with a volatile power crystal. It was time for the children to fight back. I released the elastic band. The glowing blue crystal shot forward like a beautiful, tiny lightning bolt. The crystal hit the leading warden's heavy chest, completely overloading its internal clockwork gears with pure electricity. The giant machine sparked wildly and completely froze, acting as a massive heavy barricade in the narrow hallway. I grabbed Maya's tiny hand tightly. "Run!" I screamed at the top of my tired lungs. Seeing us fight, dozens of other children rebelled, bravely throwing their heavy metal tools at the terrifying guards. But the wardens kept marching forward, easily swatting the flying tools away like harmless little FLIs. A massive mechanical hand reached out rapidly, desperately trying to snatch the glowing map from my sister. I gracefully slid right under the robot's heavy legs, aggressively shooting another energy crystal directly into its knee joint. The terrifying guard completely lost its balance, falling over with an incredibly loud, satisfying heavy metal crash. We sprinted gracefully across a dangerously narrow iron pipeline, balancing perfectly high above a sea of boiling water. The machines aggressively fired thick, heavy capture nets from their arms, trying to trap us like wild animals. We successfully dodged the heavy nets, jumping safely into the dark, incredibly narrow ventilation shaft of the factory. We crawled rapidly through the dark, dusty metal tunnels. My heart was beating faster than the factory engines. We exited into a colossal underground chamber, a massive maze of giant, beautifully dangerous turning brass gears. I looked at the glowing owl. The magic map was pointing straight up, toward the highest abandoned towers. I carried Maya safely on my back, gracefully jumping with absolute precision between the giant, perfectly timed moving gears. Hot pressurized steam aggressively burst from the massive pipes all around us, threatening to burn our tired skin. The Iron Wardens aggressively broke through the brick wall behind us, relentlessly chasing us into the dangerous mechanical maze. The machines ruthlessly stomped across the delicate gears, their heavy metal boots completely ignoring the obvious mechanical danger. I quickly turned around, realizing we were entirely out of running space. I had to use the environment. I aggressively shot my last powerful crystal directly at the massive, rusty steam pressure valve right above their heads. The massive valve completely exploded, aggressively unleashing a blinding, incredibly thick white wall of superheated steam. The mechanical guards were completely blinded. Their optical sensors failed miserably in the thick, confusing white fog. Using the perfect distraction, we safely climbed the longest iron ladder, heading straight toward the forgotten upper city. We reached an abandoned hangar at the absolute top of the city. The air here was incredibly cold and quiet. In the center sat a beautiful, massive flying wooden galleon, a forgotten masterpiece waiting patiently for the sky. Maya walked happily toward the captain's wheel. The glowing mechanical owl was aggressively vibrating in her tiny hands. She gently placed the glowing bird into a perfect slot on the console. It was the missing starting key. The massive ancient ship beautifully came to life. Bright golden lights enthusiastically illuminated the dusty wooden deck. The giant canvas balloons aggressively inflated with hot, glowing air. The massive galleon slowly began to float. But suddenly, the hangar doors were aggressively forced open by the Warden Commander, a terrifying giant mechanical spider. Dozens of iron wardens aggressively swarmed the room, pointing their heavy capture cannons directly at our beautiful ship. I forcefully pulled the main thrust lever. "We are absolutely not going back to the dark," I yelled. The massive rear propellers aggressively spun, blowing a terrifying hurricane of dust that completely knocked the robots backward. The mechanical spider leaped gracefully toward us, desperately trying to grab the beautiful wooden railing with its claws. I bravely kicked a heavy wooden barrel, perfectly smashing the spider's claw away just as we escaped. The galleon aggressively broke through the massive glass ceiling, violently leaving the terrifying smog city completely behind us. We flew powerfully into the thick, terrifying black toxic clouds. The violent turbulence aggressively shook our small bodies. I tightly hugged Maya on the shaking deck. The absolute terrifying darkness surrounded us completely for a minute. But the magical owl aggressively shined a beautiful, bright guiding beam of pure light directly upward through the smog. Slowly, the heavy black clouds began to thin out. A strange, beautiful, warm golden light appeared right above us. The galleon gracefully breached the absolute top of the clouds, perfectly entering an incredibly endless, beautiful blue sky. The bright, warm, massive sun perfectly illuminated the deck. It was the absolute most beautiful thing ever created. Maya reached her tiny, dirty hand out toward the warmth, crying and smiling with absolutely pure, innocent joy. I slowly took off my heavy brass goggles. For the absolute first time, my eyes didn't sting from the toxic smoke. We looked down. Below us was an absolutely endless, peaceful sea of soft white clouds glowing magically. We were finally free, sailing peacefully toward a beautiful, green floating island waiting patiently in the distance. The Iron Wardens couldn't steal our hope. We are the children of the sky now, and we are going home.